What if I told you that a few simple words, spoken with presence, calm, and confidence, could change the way women perceive you? Not because you're flashy, not because you're trying to be clever, but because your words reveal something deeper, your mind. You see, attraction doesn't begin with your looks. It doesn't even begin with your status. It begins with your energy. And that energy is revealed in how you speak, what you choose to say, and more importantly, what you choose not to say. These 6 phrases aren't just things to memorize. They're Stoic in nature, subtle, sharp, intentional. Each one carries the weight of self-respect. And when used properly, they don't just get attention, they get respect. Because women don't just want a man who talks, they want a man who understands himself. And these phrases are proof that you do. Before we dive into the gold, do something that takes 2 seconds but has massive impact. Hit subscribe. When you support this channel, you're not just helping yourself, you're building a movement of men who value strength, calm, and inner discipline in a world of noise. Let's begin. Phrase 1. I don't rush decisions, I think long term. This phrase isn't just casual conversation, it's a philosophy etched into the bones of a disciplined man. It separates boys from men. Most people, they make decisions based on emotion, on pressure, on fear of missing out. They act from impulse and then wonder why their life feels like a storm they can't control. But you, when you say, I don't rush decisions, I think long term, you're not just speaking, you're staking your identity. In a world drunk on speed, patience is power. While others chase dopamine and applause, you're crafting legacy. It's the mindset of Marcus Aurelius, who wrote in his Meditations, if something is difficult for you to accomplish, do not think it impossible for any man. Rather, if something is possible and appropriate for a person to do, assume that it is within your reach. That's long-term thinking. It means weighing consequences, choosing discipline over distraction, planning your moves like a chess master, not a gambler at the table of life. Imagine this. You're with a woman who's used to men who can't control their emotions. They react, they please, they cave. But when you speak calmly, when you say you don't rush, it rewires how she sees you. Suddenly, she's dealing with something rare, a man with restraint, a man with a future. Not just someone who wants her body tonight, but someone who's building something she might want to be part of for years. That's what makes it irresistible. Not the words, the weight behind them, the discipline, the strategy, the unshakable presence. And deep down, she knows this man isn't playing short games. He's a storm with a compass. He's not chasing life, he's engineering it. Phrase 2. I'm not for everyone, and I'm okay with that. This phrase doesn't just land, it echoes. It's not arrogance, it's acceptance. It's the quiet storm of a man who's no longer begging for belonging, approval, or validation. Most men shrink themselves to fit into someone else's comfort zone. They soften their truth to avoid rejection. But the man who speaks these words is playing a different game altogether. He's playing for his soul, not applause. This phrase carries the quiet power of a man who has stood alone, in silence, and made peace with himself. He's not perfect, but he's authentic. He knows that not every woman will understand his mission, his mindset, or his silence. And that's fine, because he's not here to entertain. He's here to lead himself. In a culture where men are trained to appease and perform, the man who says, I'm not for everyone, and I'm okay with that, radiates something women can't resist: emotional sovereignty. Imagine you're at a social gathering. She asks, why you're not more talkative? Most men would explain themselves, try to charm their way back into favor. But you You smile, sip your drink, and simply say it. I'm not for everyone, and I'm okay with that. That one line shifts the dynamic. Instantly, you're no longer the one trying to impress. You're the one she's now curious about. Your calm indifference isn't coldness. It's a form of spiritual discipline. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The approval of others is a weak anchor." A man who lets go of the need to be universally liked is no longer a leaf in the wind. He becomes the wind itself. So remember this. When you're okay with being misunderstood, you become untouchable. When you stop trying to be liked by everyone, the right ones will respect you more. And the wrong ones, let them go. They were never meant to stand beside you in the first place. Let your presence speak louder than your performance, because real strength doesn't need to convince, it simply is. Phrase 3. Peace is more important to me than proving a point. A Stoic man doesn't chase dominance through noise. He commands respect through presence. This phrase isn't weakness, it's warriorship with restraint. You see, any fool can raise his voice. Any insecure man can try to win an argument to feel like a man. But a true man, a Stoic man, knows that every battle isn't worth fighting. He knows that peace isn't surrender, it's strategy. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's exactly what this phrase represents. It's the rejection of reactive masculinity, the refusal to be emotionally hijacked by pride. In a world obsessed with proving who's right, this mindset flips the script. It says, "I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to protect my peace." That's the quiet confidence of a man who doesn't need validation, because he already knows who he is. Picture this. You're in a heated conversation with a woman. Maybe it's your girlfriend, a colleague, someone testing your patience. She's emotional, words are flying, tension is rising. The average man escalates. He matches her energy. He starts defending, arguing, proving. But the Stoic? He leans back. He takes a breath. He says it calmly. Peace is more important to me than proving a point. And in that moment, the energy shifts. She may not admit it, but she feels it. That unshakable calm, that power, that emotional discipline. Because here's the truth. Women remember how you make them feel, and when you choose peace, you're choosing mastery over ego. You become rare, grounded, trusted, and trust is the real foundation of attraction, not flashy words or forced dominance. So the next time you feel pulled into chaos, remember, you don't need to win the argument. You just need to win your inner war. That's what makes you irresistible. That's what makes you a man. Phrase 4. I'd rather be respected than liked. This one doesn't just hit hard, it hits where it matters most. Your core. We're living in a culture that worships approval. Men are constantly being told to smile more, soften their tone, be agreeable, and never rock the boat. But Stoicism doesn't play by those rules. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." The Stoic man doesn't chase external validation. He doesn't need everyone to like him, because he knows that being liked by everyone usually means standing for nothing. When you say, "I'd rather be respected than liked," you're drawing a line in the sand. You're telling the world and her that you live by principle, not by popularity. You value integrity over approval. You're not here to entertain or impress. You're here to live with purpose. That kind of statement shakes the room. It tells a woman you won't bend just to keep her comfortable. And ironically, that's what earns real attraction. Because deep down, she doesn't want a man who bends to every mood. She wants a man who anchors her storm, not joins it. Think about this. Have you ever had a moment where you stayed silent when you should have spoken up? Just to keep the peace? You walked away liked but not respected. And that feeling haunts you because your soul knows when you've compromised. But when you speak this phrase, when you live it, you become the man who others watch, even when you say nothing. You don't seek applause. You seek alignment. And in that alignment, you find something rare: self-respect. That's the kind of man Stoicism builds. That's the kind of man women feel before you even say a word. Phrase 5. I listen more than I speak, for a reason. This isn't just a phrase, it's a declaration of power. In a world where everyone's scrambling to be heard, the man who listens stands out. He's not silent because he has nothing to say. He's silent because he's processing everything. He's measuring words, weighing truths, and watching how people move. This kind of man doesn't need to compete for attention. His presence already commands it. When you say, I listen more than I speak, for a reason, you're telling the world, I value substance over noise, depth over drama. Think of it this way. Imagine you're in a room full of people trying to impress. Loud voices, fake laughs, constant chatter. And then there's one man leaning back, calm, watching, absorbing. He speaks only when he has something real to say. And when he does, everyone listens. That's the energy of a Stoic. That's the energy that pulls women in. Not because you're trying to impress, but because you're grounded. You've seen enough to know that talk is cheap and wisdom is rare. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. And that includes the urge to dominate every conversation. A Stoic speaks with purpose, not ego. And when you say this phrase, it flips the narrative. Your silence isn't awkward, it's intentional. It makes her wonder, what does he know that others don't? And that mystery, that quiet power, is far more seductive than any smooth line. Because in a world addicted to attention, the man who listens becomes unforgettable. Phrase 6. My time is limited, so I'm selective about who I let into my world. This is the final one, and it's the most important. Because in the end, a Stoic man doesn't just protect his peace, he protects his time, his energy, and his soul. When you say this with calm certainty, it makes people take a step back, including her. It tells her you're not desperate for connection. You're intentional, you value quality, and you won't just give your presence to anyone. This flips the dynamic instantly. You're not chasing, you're choosing. And the moment you speak this truth, something shifts. She starts to wonder, am I someone he would choose? Am I someone who gets to stay in his world? And that's the secret most men never learn. Attraction isn't about saying more, it's about saying less. But saying it with power, it's about revealing who you are, not performing who you think she wants. And these phrases, they're not lines. They're reflections of who you are when you're fully in your masculine frame. Grounded, present, disciplined. So speak with clarity, move with calm. And remember, a man who knows himself never needs to beg for connection. He becomes the gravity that others orbit around. And that is what makes him unforgettable. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more and drop a comment below. Which of these 6 phrases will you speak first? Until next time, stay grounded, stay sharp, and remember, peace over performance, always.